I think we're live. We're live. We are live. MOP, microphone check. MOP, microphone check. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the latest edition of the MOP podcast. I'm your host, Mario, and today I got LB in the building. What's good, man? Thanks for being here with me.
Hey, man. Good to be here, man.
Thanks for being here. Obviously, we're here today with LB from the sports and political channel. Man, I'm a great fan of your content. I really like the approach that you try to put on your videos, and the whole rationale is very it's a high level of rationale. So thanks for being here. And where can people find you, man, besides maybe YouTube?
I have a Twitter. I go under True Virgo Child on Twitter. And then I go under Freeway 95 US on Instagram. If you want to find me there. Obviously, my YouTube channel, Sports Political Channel LB, I try to cover it from all angles. And the whole purpose of my channel is dispel false narratives that's being put out here in the mainstream media. So,
yeah, and sometimes it's difficult to do that shit, right? Because YouTube doesn't allow you to talk too much. The censorship.
Yeah, you can't really say what you want to say a lot of times because, the boogeyman is watching. So, but at the same time, there's always more than one way to peel an onion. So, however I get the word out is how I get the word out,
Yeah, there's always more ways to a lot of ways to skin the cat. So thanks once again for being here. I highly recommend everyone that's gonna be watching this live, and obviously after we are done, to go there and go visit the LB, the sports and political channel of LB. So that's great, man. I'm a great fan of your content. Obviously, over there in the United States, a lot of great YouTubers, quote unquote YouTubers. Obviously, Ticket, you, Kareem, Elder, man, the brothers are killing there over there. So thanks for being here. The first topic that I wanted to talk with you is the food prices, man. Obviously, here in South America, I'm from Chile, is way different. But I was watching your one of your latest shows in which you were talking about the food prices going up, the eggs, the chicken shortage. So, and I really like a point that you made in regards of Popeyes or Canes or here, obviously all those food chains that you mentioned, because they are making it seem like there's a chicken shortage, but the prices from those food chains are not going up. So what's your thoughts on that situation?
I just figured that if there was this shortage of chicken due to whatever they say the cause was, right? Then I would feel that you would like pull all the chicken off the shelf and try to get to the bottom of what's causing it. And on top of that, Bojangles, Popeyes, churches, your local supermarket, the rural farms, the gas stations, all these places won't be serving chicken right now unless we get to the bottom of what the devil was going on. So when I thought about stores still selling chicken, in these various supermarkets and restaurants and all that, I just felt like it was just a whole bunch of BS to justify jacking up the price of the lines of people's pockets. And they use the media as their low stepping stool to drive that agenda home, so that way it creates mass hysteria to the general public. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe there's this massive chicken shortage. Meanwhile, I still can go to Popeyes and get a 3-piece with a biscuit, right? So it's like, I'm like, who y'all lied to,
Yeah, and maybe we should also question the quality of that food, right? Maybe it's not chicken 100% that they are selling in Canes and Popeyes.
Right.
So that's a fact.
It's the same thing they do with. You had the chicken shortage a couple years ago. Then it was, oh my God, there's all this massive beef shortage. We can't find hamburgers anywhere. Meanwhile, you go on YouTube. This channel is making Wagyu beef. This channel is making Wagyu brisket. This channel right here got Japanese A5 Wagyu steak, and it's like I can still go to the butcher and acquire a piece of cow, right? I still was able to go to the local butcher and find picanha, right? You familiar with picanha, right?
Yeah.
The best tasting piece of meat, way better than ribeye in my opinion. But anyway, and I got some in the refrigerator right now. I'm going to cook later on today.
It's marinating. It's marinating.
Yeah, I got that picanha at the ready, baby. But anyway, so when I think about all that, and I'm driving down the road and I'm still seeing cows grazing on grass and all that, I just think it's a whole bunch of BS. And nowadays, you're seeing them doing it with the price of eggs. Eggs is used to be very cheap, like $1 you can get you some eggs. Now eggs cost almost like $10. I was like, this is ridiculous, man.
A dozen, right? A dozen of eggs cost like 10 bucks.
Right.
It's crazy. And obviously you mentioned the deodorant. Man, that was a great thing that you mentioned, because people maybe they're gonna be in a tough decision, maybe buying some eggs or buying food or buying some deodorant or soup or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Eggs, obviously, here in Chile are very cheap for in most cases, but $9 for a dozen eggs is crazy, man. And obviously, the people that suffer the most is people that doesn't have a lot of incomes, right, or a lot of money to buy better products or to find better products.
Right.
So it's crazy, man. It's crazy, the whole situation. Even I saw the smuggling coming from Mexico with the eggs is going up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So there's always gonna be a black market for everything. It was alcohol back in the day. Now it's the eggs. As you mentioned, there was a shortage of beef, but that was a great point. You go to YouTube, you can find Wagyu, you can find Kobe beef. So it's crazy. So that was a great point that I wanted to talk in this podcast with you. Obviously, I really like to try to, in my channel, I do my channel mostly in Spanish, but I try to always talk about different topics that are going on in our society. So that was the first topic that we discussed here with LB. The next topic, obviously, the association, what everyone is watching nowadays. We got some NFL games today and tomorrow. We're going to be touching that a little bit later. But today, in this moment, we're going to be talking about the NBA. I got some topics here for you. Let's start with Shannon Sharp. Man, that was crazy. Yesterday, the Lakers beat the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have won 11 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. The Lakers cut that streak. So, what was your horror? Let's start with the game. What was your? Did you watch the game?
I didn't see the game, so I caught like pieces of highlights from it. Now, from what I did saw, Russell Westbrook led the way coming off the bench. He had 29.
Yeah, he was balling,
and he was balling last night. And I like the fact that the Lakers was able to close the game, because they've had a history of not closing games. Most recently, the game against Philadelphia, where they lost at home by 1 point, and then you had another game where LeBron had couldn't close the deal against who they played.
Dallas.
Who's that?
Against Dallas?
No, it wasn't the Dallas game. They played another game more recently than that. I gotta look now. I forgot who they played.
I can check it right now. Against the
Kings?
The
Lakers have who?
Against the Sacramento Kings?
Yeah, it was the Kings, because they lost 116-111. Yeah. And you remember I remember I called it. I said the Kings was gonna make the playoffs this year, and the Kings have beaten the Lakers 3 out of 4 games outside of that. But anyway, back to the deal. So Russell Westbrook played really good last night. LeBron had a really pedestrian stat line, 23 points with some other peripheral stats. But yeah, the game that got overshadowed with Shannon Sharp's shenanigans, and so apparently that happened. That didn't happen after the game. That happened at halftime.
Yeah, halftime.
And he said something to Dylan Brooks about how Dylan Brooks couldn't guard LeBron. Dylan Brooks said "F you." He said "F you" back, little brouhaha suit. Well, it wasn't no brouhaha, but it was more like a, words were said. Shannon Sharp looked like he wanted to smoke with everybody. Steven Adams went over there, aka Aquaman.
Aquaman, the bodyguard.
Aquaman
I
walked
call
over
him
there.
Aquaman. Yeah.
I just thought, look, these dudes, these LeBron James fans, man, I'm like, these dudes are willing to go all the way for this guy. And look, I don't got no issue with LeBron, you know what I'm saying? I think he's a great player, and I think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Anybody that thinks otherwise, this is a flat-out hater. But these fanboys, man, in the media and in social media, it is insane. It's like you bring anything up about this man, and then next thing you know, you get, well, what about Michael Jordan? I'm like, we're not talking about Michael Jordan. Or what about Kobe Bryant? Kobe Bryant didn't do this. Or what about this person? I was like, oh my God, have mercy, man. But hey, it is what it is. Apparently, him and his dad, John Morant's dad, T. Morant, had some words, but they was able to squash the beef and all that. At the end of the day, it's a whole bunch of trash talk. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got put in jail. So let's call it for what it was, a little dust up.
Yeah, and obviously in the heat of the moment, when T. Moran approached Shannon Sharp, he was telling T, like, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to beat you up. So definitely Shannon Sharp wanted all the smoke with everyone. I don't know if he wanted to fight Steven Adams. He's obviously a 7-footer. He one of the strongest motherfuckers in the league. But he wanted the smoke. He wanted the smoke with Dylan Brooks, with Ja, with T. Moran. It was crazy. Do you think that maybe Shannon Sharp can become the Clipper, the rail of the Lakers?
No, I don't see Shannon Sharp getting knocked out by nobody.
Yeah, that shit was crazy, man. Getting knocked the fuck out by a security guard, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, security guard. Cacao. Yeah, security hold him with that. Yeah,
He was great.
Yeah, I don't see Shannon Sharp having that happen to him.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp is from Georgia, so he has that South mentality, so you don't mess with him. He obviously keeps himself in great shape. He likes to go to the gym, and it was crazy, that situation. Obviously, as you mentioned, they hug out at the end of the game with T. Moran. I think obviously everything went okay, went right. Do you think that maybe this situation in a worst case scenario could have escalated in terms of maybe getting into a situation like the Malice at the Palace, where we saw Steven Jackson get into the stands and beat a fan of the Detroit Pistons, and obviously Ron Artest being suspended, both of them being suspended for a long period of time? But do you think that maybe this situation could have escalated to that point?
I mean, it had potential for it to escalate, but at the end of the day, it didn't escalate there. So yeah. I don't see the NBA doing anything regarding like suspension or anything like that. And I don't see Shannon Sharp being banned from crypto.com arena or anything like that. It was just, people saying stuff, words were said, but at the end of the day, no punches got thrown, nobody got hurt, nobody got sent to jail. So we just call it for what it is. And no, I don't see the NBA coming down with any kind of ruling or anything like that.
Yeah, and that would be weak in some terms.
That would be completely weak. Yeah,
that would be weak. And obviously we need to pay attention to what Shannon Sharp is gonna be saying on Monday on Undisputed with, alongside his partner in crime, Sniff Bayless. I call him Sniff Bayless.
Well, that's provided Skip don't cut him off mid monologue, so we'll see.
Yeah, and that's topic that we're gonna be talking a little bit later. I got a question for you regarding Jamorant. Obviously, Jamorant was drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies. Um, we know the culture there in Memphis with a lot of rappers being killed. One of my favorite rapper, Young Dolph, Big Scar. There was a lady from the 3 6 Mafia, obviously dying, but obviously it's a sad situation. But do you think that maybe Ja Moran is being quote unquote influenced, or he's trying to appeal to this type of culture of Memphis?
Well, I don't see it as him appealing to anyone because if you, anyone that grew up in the South, um, down South gangster rap has always been a thing. No matter where you from, where you at. You know what I'm saying? If the music sound good, you gonna rock with it. Now as far as like his game go, I just feel that sometimes look, I don't have a problem with people being confident in what they're doing and all that. But there's a thin line between being confident and being arrogant, and talking too much, and now you're placing a target on yourself, an unnecessary one.
Unnecessary, yeah.
I just always feel that hey, Ja, you a beast, and you go out there and you do your thing and all that. But the truth of the matter is, you ain't really done nothing in the league yet, and you sitting up there saying sitting up there saying all this stuff, but you don't got no cachet to be doing all this reckless talking. So it's like back up, stay confident what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing, but tone down all the other extra um, curricular activities and all that. And then then once you got the hardware to back up your claim, I don't mind you being a little boisterous and whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you earned it. But
Yeah.
right now, this ain't the time to be doing all that jaw jacking and all that and all this blithering, blathering, and all that. You know what I'm saying? Go out there and let your game do the talking, bro. It's like you ain't got past the second round. Yeah, and so if you haven't got past the second round, that means you hadn't played in the NBA Finals. So if you ain't played in the NBA Finals, you ain't won no championships yet. You ain't won no MVPs or Defensive Player of the Year, any of those accolades for him to be doing all that reckless talking. So
Yeah, and obviously last year he won MIP.
he
So
won
and
six. He
most
won
improved.
most improved player.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he
he won
and
most
he and
improved
he
player.
gave that trophy to Desmond Bain. In some way, I didn't like that part.
Yeah, see, I disagree with that. I felt that should have gone to Jordan Poole, if
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Not to give Desmond Bain, because Desmond Bain is a beast too. You know what I'm saying? Desmond Bain is, I think he's arguably the second best player on the Grizzlies.
He's
Um,
reliable. Jaren Jackson is sometimes
he can
injured.
do it all. He can score. He can defend. He can rebound. Get assists. You know, obviously John Morant's unquestioned best player on the Grizzlies and all that. The stuff he's able to do. But his defense leaves lots to be desired. But as far as like an offensive, this man's a juggernaut, man. But Desmond Bain is not very far behind as far as like the second best player on the Grizzlies. Um, some people can make a case for Jaren Jackson Jr., but I still feel their most important player on that team is Desmond Bain.
Yeah, and Desmond Bain is a great free throw shooter. Um, Even though Jaren Jackson Jr. is a candidate, is a front runner to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's a human eraser. He is blocking everything that's coming to the rim. Obviously, as you mentioned, Desmond Bain and Jamoran, they were talking a lot of trash. Jamoran saying that the only team that we pay attention is the Boston Celtics. Desmond Bain saying that, joking about Jordan Clarkson when he puts his hands up, saying that he ain't gonna fight nobody. But as you mentioned, man, sometimes you gotta win You gotta win big in order to talk big. So we'll see what happens with the Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. Hopefully, he doesn't go into the same route as Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has been in the league for 7 years and has not gotten past the second round. So, in your opinion, which player is gonna be in their respective conference finals first, Joel Embiid or Ja Morant?
I believe John Morant is going to get it before
Wow,
Joel Embiid.
over Harden and Embiid.
And the reason why I say that, because look, if you follow my channel, man, I've documented the history of these two, James Harden and Joel Embiid. And these guys have shown that when it comes time to put the money on the table, their checks are always bouncing. So it's like, okay, how much more I got to see to come to this conclusion that these guys are not it. When you hit, especially last season, when Joel Embiid was crying about not winning the MVP instead of pursuing the NBA championship, I'm like, dude, your priorities are in the wrong place. Why are you worried about an MVP? You shouldn't be worrying about that. You need to be worried about going after the ring. But a lot of times, you just got to pay attention to what they say, because what they say goes a long way into their mindset. And Joel Embiid's mindset was not winning an NBA championship. His mindset was winning an MVP. Oh man, people don't love me. I was like, what? Why you, man? And then you couple that with Doc Rivers.
Wow.
And his history of futility in the playoffs, right? Blowing multiple 3-1 leads, blowing the 3-1
liability,
lead,
right?
Blowing the 3-1 lead as a Clippers coach, blowing a 3-1 lead twice. Actually, he blew a 3-1 lead twice with the Clippers. He did it in 2015, and then he did it in the bubble in 2020. So when you have that dynamic going on with Doc Rivers' playoff futility outside the one ring in Boston, James Harden's history of playoff futility, notorious playoff choke artist, and then you have Joel Embiid, who's not far behind, you just don't have any reason for Philadelphia to say that Philadelphia is going to be the championship threat. Their ceiling is a second round exit, and that's that.
Wow, it's crazy, man. With all that firepower, obviously we saw that Hakeem Olajuwon in some type of way criticized Joel Embiid for shooting too much threes, but I have to agree with you. To me, I labeled them, both of them, as regular season players. James Harden won an MVP. He was a scoring champion, the same as Joel Embiid last year. But to me, they are regular season players. Would you consider him, obviously, regular season players?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they haven't shown us that they're gonna carry this team. Because for years, Joel Embiid was telling us to trust the process. Trust the process. Okay, we trusted the process, and the process hasn't panned out. So, I mean, because you got to think, they fired Brett Brown, right? They fired the GM, or the GM stepped down, whatever. He ain't there no more. The guy who the original GM that trusted the process, right?
Sam Hinkie?
Sam Hinkie.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Sam Hinkie. They fired Brett Brown. Sam Hinkie ain't there no more. They've had all kinds of players come in and out. Ben Simmons ain't there no more. And I cook Ben Simmons regularly. Like, it's to the point it's overdone when it comes to
so. He deserves that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got Ben Simmons, Al Horford. Remember, they signed him to a max deal from the Boston Celtics, right?
Yeah.
That didn't pan out. You had Robert Covington there. You had
Jimmy Butler.
You had what's the Bellinelli, Marco Bellinelli,
JJ Redick.
He was a sharpshooter there. You had TJ McConnell there. You had all these players that was with the 76ers. Who was the one constant? is Joel Embiid, and the results are still the same. So at the end of the day, given injuries, inconsistent play, poor mindset, poor diet, because he can't stay healthy, he can't stay on the court because he's always tired. The focus is on him. At some point, you got to shine the light on him. Can't always blame Ben Simmons and all these other people around Joel Embiid. He's been there the whole time. What the hell he been doing?
Yeah, don't worry. You can curse in here. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry, man.
That's real, man. I'm just like, when you factor all that in, what the fuck was Joel Embiid doing this whole time? Like, what role did he have in this Sixers team not getting to the promised land?
In my opinion, I think Joel Embiid has not gotten better in anything. Obviously, he's a great scorer, but he's not dominant in the post. Maybe like Jokic, he likes to shoot threes. He do you see that maybe that same thing, that he hasn't gotten better in anything? He has reached maybe a level and stay there. Maybe, to me.
Yeah, I if you look at Joel Embiid and you be like, okay, and that's the same way I feel about Jokic. It's like, okay, yeah, you won a couple MVPs, but your team has never gotten past the second round outside the 1 year in the bubble.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've seen this before. Give me a reason to clap, then I'll clap. Until then, it's like, man,
It is what it is with Joel Embiid.
This is what it is with like guys like Jokic and Joel Embiid. This is what it is. We've seen this before. Yeah, they put up massive triple doubles in the regular season. Where's that in the postseason though? Where's that where it really counts? Because I always say this on my YouTube channel. You make your money in the regular season, you make your legacy in the postseason. So it's like, yeah, all them triple double stats, all that. That's good when it comes down to contract negotiations. But we're sitting up here having these long-winded, endless debates about who's the best player in this generation, who's the best player all time, and all that. No one's screaming Embiid. Nobody's screaming Jokic and all that. Who are they always talking about? LeBron, Kobe Bryant, Stephen Curry. He's starting to enter that conversation with his 4th championship on the same team. So when you when you break all that down, right? You just don't feel excited about the chances of the Philadelphia 76ers. And then Boston looked like they're on the mission this year to go back to the finals and win it. You got Brooklyn, which I don't care too much for the owner, and I don't care too much for
me neither.
Marks, right?
Yeah.
But you look at what they did after they fired Steve Nash, right? Because clearly the players did not buy into Steve Nash's philosophy. I think they were all tuning him out. But with Kyrie, I know KD's hurt right now, but Brooklyn looked like they was getting ready to they're like number 2 in the East right now. You got Milwaukee. If they can, somehow shake the injury bug, they'll be in the mix. Cleveland's not a team to sleep on. So when you look at the East and how top heavy it is, you don't like the Philadelphia 76ers chances of overcoming any of those teams.
They got the same chances maybe as Miami, right? Miami.
No, not Miami. Nope.
Do you think do you have Miami higher over them?
Nope.
Lower.
Yep.
Yeah, to me it has been a completely disappointment, man. Kyle Lowry
is dusty right at this point. I mean, he is just complete dust. he's a dusty dude, man. And for Miami to get over the hump, it will require Jimmy Butler consistently having these monster games. The problem is Jimmy Butler will have a monster game, and then he will have like 3 or 4 mediocre games before you have another monster one. It's like, and then Bam Adebayo, another one. Bam would have a monster game, and then Bam, go back into his shell, being this passive aggressive guy. So you don't like Miami's chances and all that. Tyler Hero, inconsistent, shot reliant guy. The only other guy that you can see that can go in and do some damage is Victor Oladipo, but there's questions about his health. So when you look at all that in the grand scheme of things, you don't like Miami's chances of coming out of the East. So it's like it's either out of Boston, Brooklyn, or Milwaukee.
Or the Bucks, yeah. And obviously, as you mentioned, we cannot have confidence on Joel Embiid, neither James Harden. We got people like Sniff Baseless saying on TV, on national television, that Joel Embiid is the best player in the league. Really?
What?
That Philadelphia is the best team in the East? Really? Come on,
yeah,
man.
See, this is the thing. You see, an idiot like that, he knows he's going to say anything stupid to get people talking. That's his MO. That's
mechanism.
That's the thing that makes his bacon sizzle, right? He's a troll. He's a media troll that's getting paid like $6 million to do just that. Go in, say some of the most outlandish, nonsensical, diarrhea of the mouth type thing to get people talking. And as long as he's doing that, he's done his job. As long as people are responding to that on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever social media that's tickling his fancy at the time, then people are gonna be as long as he got people talking, he does his job. He did his job. Now, me personally, I won't confront nobody like that because, old people have a tendency of being set in their ways. So there's nothing you can say that get him to change his mind. I mean, look, anything he say, he's doubling and tripling down. He's digging in his heels on it.
With the Damar Hamlin tweet, right?
Huh?
With the Damar Hamlin tweet.
I didn't even talk about that, but yeah, that's a prime example.
He's crazy, man.
He's a damn buffoon. I wouldn't even give him bamming like that. He's an idiot. He's a damn corn on your toe.
And he's old, obviously. He's like 70 years old, man. Get your ass to the retirement house.
He's not going to retirement home.
No, as you mentioned, why? You lost $6 million, man. He ain't nowhere.
That man can be doing the base in his grave.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. One thing that I would like to talk about with you is you mentioned Jokic. Obviously, he hasn't got into the finals. He hasn't won a ring. To me, I will have to pick. If I have to choose one player, I will have to pick Jokic. He's a great player. Maybe defensively, he's a liability in some type of way, but the fear that I have with Jokic is that it's the same with Anthony Davis. They were calling Anthony Davis the PER king. I don't know if you remember that.
The player efficiency, and that's all those during
the Pelicans when he was on the Pelicans.
Yeah, but the team didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, the same as Jokic. Maybe it's very similar.
Yeah, you had a second round exit. That was their ceiling. A second round exit, and then that was it. But it's like those stat nerds that come up with all these crazy advanced stats like usage and true shooting percentage and player efficiency rating and win shares and whatever else, right? All those other crazy advanced stats, that just for me is a way for them to get involved. Because look, numbers don't lie, but they don't always tell the whole story either. Because
you need context.
You need context. Anybody can go on Basketball Reference and be like, okay, this guy averaged 20 a game and all that. But how impactful are those 20 points a game? How impactful is him having a 30% usage rate when this guy or that guy is off the court? And it's like it's almost frustrating that even that's why I don't like debating people, man, because I think some people are dimwits, dunderheads, and dodo birds, man. So it's like oh man, well, what about this? And I was like, look, you can sit here and try to call yourself going down a rabbit hole when it comes to these statistics and all that, but
Yes.
what is the story telling you? And it's like you try to tell someone about this, that, and the third, and be like, oh man, you okay, man, you just being a hater, man. Cause see that when they don't have nothing else to say, that's the default response. Oh man, you just being a hater. And I'm not beholden to these players. I'm not beholden to anybody.
Yeah, they say, oh, you don't make as much money as them. Whatever, man.
What the hell that got to do with tea growing in China? So it's like if it's a healthy debate that we're like, I know this guy's basketball knowledge is on par or maybe greater than mine, then that's one thing. But a lot of times, these guys out here getting involved in groupie love, I be wanting to question a lot of these guys' manhood sometimes.
Yeah, the bronze sexuals, LeBron.
Yeah, man. All them Oscar Mayer chokers and shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just unacceptable, man. But anyway,
Yeah.
when I grew up, man, I was a fan of teams, not players. Sure, we got players that we like, but we're not getting ourselves into car accidents and not getting brain aneurysms and wanting to plot death threats on the man just because you don't like the player or whatever like that they like. It's just crazy, man.
Crazy, and that's a great point, man. I've heard that. I think Ticket mentioned that to Chilltown because he's not he doesn't have a favorite team. He's more of a players. He like a players groupie.
See?
It's crazy. The one thing that I would like to mention regarding the PER, obviously, Will Chamberlain in the 61-62 season, he had a 32 PER. Nobody thought that record is going to be broken. And then it was Giannis in 2019-2020 when he won the MVP and DPOY. Will Chamberlain didn't won the chip that year. That year he averaged 50 points, if I'm not mistaken. Giannis didn't won the chip. Michael Jordan in 87-88, the GOAT, when he won MVP and DPOY, if I'm not in the same year. And LeBron in 08-09 also didn't win the ring. But Joker, this would be 2 years in a row that Joker is going to break Will Chamberlain record for the PER in a season, because obviously we know that Jordan has the highest PER for a career, but for a season, Jokic has beaten Will Chamberlain in this record. As I've mentioned before, these four players didn't win the chip when they got a higher PER. Do you think that maybe we should need to push Joker to broke that mold and maybe get a championship while he's being so dominant in the NBA?
See, I don't go off of player efficiency rating and stuff like that because there's some things that get left out.
And the eye test, right?
Yeah, you got to. It's about the eye test and it's about what happens when the game is on the line. And in the postseason, he has shown. Yeah, he's put up gaudy numbers in the regular season, but I don't care about
that Luka
I
has
don't
a
care
great
about none of that
impact on
stuff.
the playoff, right?
Huh?
We can argue that Luka has a great impact on the playoffs, right?
You can make an impact, you can make an argument about that, but hey, look, until these guys deliver a championship, man, it's all nothing more than smoke and mirrors to get people talking, right? Until these guys, because look, I'm all about the results. It's like, okay, what's the end result? How? Because people talk. Because remember, the mainstream media was lauding all over Russell Westbrook triple doubles, but what that got him? First round playoff exits every year, yeah. Right? So it's like, yeah, he's the triple double king, but that hadn't really translated to nothing. So what does your impact translate to? That's the question. Because again, you make all that statistics you're putting up in the regular season, all that gonna do is get you a max contract. But then again, you don't even have to do much to get a max contract now because they just throw that money around reckless. I mean, look at Draymond Green. Draymond Green didn't put up the stats nowhere near Jokic get. And he was getting max deals. So it's like, You will make your money in the regular season based on the statistics you put out. But when it comes time to tell the truth, when in the moment of truth, how does your stats translate to winning? And these guys like Jokic, Joel Embiid, James Harden, and all these other guys out here, right? Their statistics had not translated to winning. Say what you want about LeBron, but LeBron got a hard way to show for it. LeBron has the hard way to show for it. Curry has the hard way to show for it. To a lesser degree, Kawhi Leonard and all his, diva-esque-ness has a hard way to show for it.
And load management.
Yeah, and watching the game from the skybox. And
wow, that was crazy.
Yeah, game 3 against the Phoenix Suns, and game 3 against Phoenix Suns, Western Conference Finals. This guy up in the skybox eating popcorn and all that. I'm like, I've never seen nothing like that before. But anyway, so yeah, you got all that, and it's like,
but do you agree maybe that this generation? I think I've heard this coming from Elder. Elder mentioned that this generation, in some type of way, is trying to eliminate the eye test. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
It's all about statistics and average a triple-double in the finals and blah, blah, blah.
I agree with that because, look, a lot of people... Look, I watch... Not only I watch the games, but I try to look at the game within the game.
Yeah.
And
the nuance, right?
Well, not just the nuance, like if I'm calling the game, I haven't called the game in a while, right? But like whenever I'm calling a game, I like to do a little bit of coaching while I'm calling the game. So I like to let people in on game situations. For example, I did a game last season where the Utah Jazz were playing the Denver Nuggets. And there was some sequences when Luka brought up the ball and they had Rudy Gobert Dean Doncic, right? And I'm like, look, you cannot have that happen because what they were getting burned by the 3-point shot because guys was getting hot from the 3-point line. So I was like, you cannot have Rudy Gobert out there on the island against Luka Doncic. That's a mismatch. So somebody gonna have to.
That's chicken barbecue, right?
Huh?
That's chicken barbecue.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's slow roasted barbecue all day. So it's like somebody got to get out there and defend him. And as I said, that Royce O'Neal went out there and defended Luka, and I think that particular sequence there was a foul. So it's like, you want to be able to let the viewers know what they're seeing, what situation could possibly come up during the timeout, especially in late game situations, right? Because in late game situations, where your best shooter is typically the inbounder.
Yeah.
Because your best shooter would inbound the ball, he get the ball back, and then get up a shot. Or say a team that's trying to get a good shot will have multiple shooters on the court, and the defense would try to take away the best shooter. So for example, Golden State inbound the ball, right? You're gonna have Andrew Wiggins inbound the ball, or you might have a situation where Curry inbound the ball, right? But if Curry's not inbound the ball, then you're gonna have the defense try to take him away. They might double him or even triple him, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a situation where either Andrew Wiggins or Klay Thompson will inbound the ball, right? That
even Jordan Poole, right?
Or even Jordan Poole. Or hell, even Draymond Green. Maybe you have Draymond Green inbound the ball. You have Poole, Curry, Wiggins, and Klay, right? Because Golden State typically runs small ball lineups, right?
Yeah.
So if you have Draymond inbound the ball in most situations, then if they take away Curry, then you can either they're going to either take away Curry or Klay. So, which means if they take those two guys away, then it's either going to have to be Andrew Wiggins or Jordan Poole putting up the last shot. But I can make an argument Klay Thompson is more clutch than Stephen Curry. And Because I've seen
he's more of a killer, right?
no
He
Klay
has
Thompson.
blood.
Klay Thompson is a killer.
Yeah. Even
Yeah,
though
I can
he's
make an
been dealing
argument
with
Klay
an
Thompson's more
injury,
costly.
ACL, Achilles,
Well,
but he's a
yeah, I
killer.
mean outside of all that, but yeah, for the most part, I think you know, when it comes to the Golden State Warriors and their dynamic, for example, um, it's a case of picking your poison. And you have Draymond Green inbound the ball. Most of the defense will try to take away Steph and Clay, and then it's going to have to be one of those two guys. And Jordan Poole has proven to be a star in the making. When those guys are out, when like Steve Kerr rested all four of the main guys, Curry, Clay, Draymond, and Andrew Wiggins, and Jordan Poole was the main star or the main person bringing up the ball, setting up the offense, and all that. Nobody thought they was going to beat Cleveland last night. Now, Cleveland didn't have Donovan Mitchell because he was nursing a groin injury. But going into that contest, anybody from Cleveland, they felt good about that matchup considering the circumstances. But Jordan Poole dropped 32 on their biscuit last night, and it led them to a win. You know, Kevon Looney, he only had 4 points last night, but he dominated the glass.
Yeah. The screens, he said great screens.
Yeah. I mean, he dominated the glass, got a couple blocks and all that. So, and, Darius Garland had a good game last night, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Karis LeVert was a virtual no-show. So, I mean, he came alive in the second half, but for the first half, he was a virtual no-show. And, they got the win. Golden State did. So they're 6-18 on the road this year. That's something you got to watch out for.
Terrible record on the road, man. Terrible, terrible. I got a speed round for you. I got some topics here. We got like 10 more minutes. I don't want to take advantage of your time, man. Thanks obviously for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here, bro. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We were talking about the Warriors. What do you think about the idea of Steve Kerr mentioning that he tries to advocate for the 72 game season? I don't like it. I have to say I don't like it.
I think he's being disingenuous considering that the video I did this morning, I laid out that even during the 72 game season, he was resting players. So it's like, look, I'm all about you. If you want to advocate for 72 games, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Do what your heart desires, but don't be disingenuous and say, "Oh well, this is a way for for less rest and all. This, make it less taxing on the body and generate rest revenue." But yet you're still resting players. You're still resting players, so it's like I just had a whole big issue with that, man.
Yeah, me too. I did a video and I don't really like the idea because we were talking behind the scenes. You having a 72 games season doesn't guarantee that players are gonna be healthy. Anthony Davis is gonna be out for a period of time. Kawhi Leonard is gonna be out for a period of time. Paul George is gonna be out. So
right, it doesn't. It's not gonna. You play less games. That's not gonna have this big paradigm shift where all of a sudden not everybody's going to play 72 games. Because if you remember back in the 2011-2012 season, I think it was, Greg Popovich started this whole resting players.
Yeah. Sending Manu Ginobili, Parker, when they were in Miami,
the whole
right?
freaking team, basically. And you had a whole bunch of unknowns playing. Now, granted, the Heat won by 3 that night. They won 108-105. But it's like we just forget who started all this, and then for a period of time they made Kawhi Leonard out to be the face of load management and all that. And that's not fair to him. considering that who started the whole thing. And but my thing is, if you're like 20 years in the game like LeBron is, I can see you getting a rest day, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like in your early 20s, like, come on now.
Like Luca.
Right, if you're in your early 20s, come on now. Come on. We're really trying to preserve the body. Look, y'all trying to treat y'all body like it's a goddamn computer. Computers need load management, right? If it got too much memory, it's going to eventually slow down the computer, which means you can't do your job effectively and all that. So
it can heat up.
It can overheat, stuff like that, right? So yeah, that you need load management for that. But this load management for this is stupid, considering that back in the day, guys played 82 games and covers, for crying out loud.
And that was a badge of honor, right? Playing 82 games.
Right, guys played 82 games. Guys didn't miss games outside of injury. Guys were not here taking spa days back in the day.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. Sometimes this generation is getting softer and softer, man.
So I don't want to hear nobody's talking this nonsense about, oh man, this is weekend. This back in the day, man. No, you don't know what it's like back in the day. If you're under 30, you don't know what it's like back in the day. You don't know what it's like in the 80s where guy played all 82 games, playing back-to-backs, playing 5 games in 6 nights.
We got 2 players right now. From the top of my head, we got Mikal Bridges from the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Looney. Those are the only 2 players that play every single night. It's crazy, yeah. And those are not superstars. Those are not stars.
Not superstars, not stars. They're role players playing every night.
And we don't give them credit. We don't recognize that, right? It's like, whatever.
Like Jordan, the owner of the Hornets, right? He told them guys, look, you're paid to play 82 games. You don't hear nobody on that team complaining about playing in back-to-backs and stuff like that. You don't hear nobody on the Charlotte Hornets complaining about that because, the owner, Jordan, basically laid it down. Like, look, I paid you to play 82 games. If you ain't hurt, you playing.
Yeah, and that's the difference. That's the difference. Like Jordan, he was a player. These owners were not players.
He played all 82 games on multiple seasons.
I think 4 of the 6 rings he played 82 games, or maybe 3.
You look it up because I know there were several years Jordan played all 82 games.
It was the same as Kobe. We got some comments here. Gideon Amankwa, he says, "Salute everyone, salute, salute, salute LB." Also, most players are overworking hospital beds and injury prone. Wow. Yeah, a lot of injury prone player, man.
2002, his last year in the league, he played 82 games.
Yeah.
97, 82 games. 96, 82 games. 95, 82 games. You go to 92, he played 78 games. He due to injury.
Yeah.
91 played 80. 89. 91 he played 80 games. 90 he played 82 games. 89 he played 82 games. 87 he played 82 games. He missed 1 game in 88. And 86 played 82 games. 85 he played only 18, but he had a foot injury.
Yeah.
And then the year he started, 84, 82 games. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seasons he played all 82 games.
LeBron has played 182 game. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. One of the last topics that I wanted to talk with you is this highlight culture. I don't know if you got the opportunity to see these 3rd graders, if I'm not mistaken. They were from 3rd grade doing all the celebration. You're too small, flexing. Now, do you think that maybe this shit is gonna get worse and worse and worse over the time?
Yeah, because look. Yeah, because a lot of people don't know how to handle that. It's one thing to celebrate; it's a whole nother thing to taunt. And I like taunting people. You know what I'm saying? I think it's good. I think it's good fun. The problem with taunting is a lot of people don't like it. And a lot of people see it as bullying, and a lot of people see it as harassing. Other people,
Disrespect.
other people don't. Other people want to fight you if you taunting them and all that. So, and look, one thing about children, because considering I have children of my own, um, they go off what you do, not by what you say, but what you do. And if they seeing their parents going out there taunting them and doing all these crazy ass celebrations and all that, then they're gonna want to do the same thing too. And it's like, what you gonna tell them? Because they're only going off of what they're seeing and what you're doing. So if you want the children to not do it, then how about you not do it? So
That's a great point, man. And obviously, it's different when you are in the league, when you're a grown man. But that's a great point, man. And there's a lot of people that don't like that, and they have the right to be like to be that way. But I think that this thing that taunting, flexing, doing the too small sign, I think is getting out of control. But as you mentioned, it starts with the guidance from the parents, right?
right,
That's a
because
fact.
the apple don't fall far from the tree.
Yeah. Um, the Clippers, man. What do you have to say about the Clippers, man? Kawhi. Yesterday I did a video. SGA Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has scored more points in during this season than Paul George and Kawhi combined, man.
Well, look, the Clippers are in big trouble, and I see that they're going to be making major changes at the end of the year.
Yeah,
Um,
they have to.
I don't think Steve Ballmer. I think To me, I think Steve Ballmer has had enough. I think there's going to be a lot of changes after the season because can you see the Clippers definitively going on this magical run to the championship? No, you don't see that. I mean, Tyronn Lue has to figure out who's playing that night, and then after he identifies that, then he has to put a starting lineup together. When you have inconsistent minutes, inconsistent roles, you're going to have inconsistent production. And when you have nights where Kawhi Leonard decides to play, and then you have other nights where he doesn't decide to play, and all that other stuff. Same thing with Paul George. It is like, how can these guys form a cohesive unit when the actions being taken anything but cohesive? So when I just I don't I'm out on the Clippers, but then again I'm a Lakers fan, so I have no reason to support the Clippers.
Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
out too on the
where I'm
Clippers,
at.
man. Too much drama, and too much being unreliable. So we'll see what happens with the Clippers. As you mentioned, obviously they are building a new arena in Inglewood. We'll see what happens. Maybe Kawhi won't be there. Maybe PG won't be there. But as you mentioned, Ballmer, I think he has seen enough, and he will have to do some changes. The last question that I have for you, man. Trey Young, obviously he's been having troubles with Nate McMillan, with the whole John Collins situation, the front office changes. I don't know if you saw that, the whole front office changes. And
Yeah, I talked about that.
yeah,
I
I
did a
told
video
my
about that.
yeah, I told my audience that when the team I mean when you have a lot of names coming out of the organization that's coming that are part of the front office, it's a whole mess, man. You have to be talking about the team, the players, the coach, but when you are talking about the front office, the whole nepotism and all this, I think it's crap. I think the Hawks getting into the Eastern Conference Final 2 years ago was fool's gold, and they are getting into the reality, a check reality this season. My question to you is: would you consider Trey Young a coach killer? We
Yes.
saw facts. That was a quick answer. We saw what happened with Deron Williams, with Avery Johnson, Carmelo with D'Antoni, Cousins with Westphal, Marbury. Do you think that maybe Trae Young is getting into that direction of being a good player but a coach killer?
Yeah, because if you saw what happened with Lloyd Pierce, right? I did a
Yeah.
video years ago when they first fired Lloyd Pierce, and at first, yeah, Trae Young was the guy who was pushing to get him out, but then again, other players on that team wanted him out too. So you had to chalk that up as some kind of aberration. But when you got Nick McMillan coming in, right? Because this is a guy who has been around the league, who's been a player, who's coached on multiple teams and stuff like that, right? He just came off the Indiana job where they basically gave him a contract, and then then they reneged on the contract 2 weeks later, and then you would think after getting to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2015, and after the success that they had, you would figure they would build on that. But if anything, they regressed.
Yeah.
And Trae Young is another player that's like a meh type player. Yeah, he can go out there and get stats and stuff like that. But can you trust him to take you over the top? And the Atlanta
No.
Hawks, to be honest with you, has been disappointing. They've been disappointing all this season. I mean,
Even last year, they didn't make the playoffs.
they did make the playoffs. They got bounced in the first round.
By Miami. Right.
No, second round. They got bounced in the second round.
Yeah. And Trey played horrible that series, right?
Yeah, he played horrible. Then you hear about him taking private jets and all that other stuff. Not
Thanks
telling
for
the
bringing
team
that
where
up.
he at.
Thanks for bringing that up, man.
So it's like when you hear stuff like that, man. I'm like, and this guy he's supposed to be a leader, and this is where I have issues with the front office. I'm like, stop ordaining these people before they earn that kind of cachet.
It's like a
Stop giving these
spoiled kid,
people
right?
huh?
He's like a spoiled kid.
Yeah, like a spoiled brat. It's like, stop giving these people these titles that they don't deserve. Stop telling these people, hey man, we need your influence and all that. Trae Young don't know what it's like to build a team and all that. He's just a player. Just like all these other guys, you're giving these guys power and influence to make roster moves and all that. These guys don't have the slightest clue of what it takes to put a team together that's going to maximize their talent to be able to win an NBA championship. And it's like, just because you know how to bake a cake, that don't qualify you to be a baker. Just because you're a talented player does not mean you're a good talent evaluator.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a fine line when you out here giving this guy all this bread, making him out to be the face of your organization and all that, when he has not delivered the goods to earn that kind of cachet.
Yeah, and the whole situation, the trade with Luka, obviously he's represented by Clutch Sports, so maybe we can expect Trae Young to be traded or to demand the trade in the upcoming year. So we'll see what happens. But I have to agree.
Yeah, good luck trading that. He comes with a hefty salary, so if they do trade him, it's going to have to be to another team that's giving up another superstar.
Yeah.
Or you might have to throw a third team in the mix, or even a fourth team, just to make the numbers match.
Seeking compensation.
Right. Because it don't have to be exact, but it has to be in the ballpark. And so it's like you're going to have to involve multiple teams, multiple players just to get Trae Young out of Atlanta and all that. And that's going to be a slap in the face because they basically pushed their chips to the table to go all in with this guy.
Yeah,
but what do I know? I'm just a some random dude on YouTube talking basketball.
Me too. I'm a random guy talking hoops on YouTube. So we have a comment. Last comment: Hawks didn't make the second round. I think they got eliminated by the Miami.
Yeah, eliminated by the Heat. Hold on. Let me look. I gotta look now.
Yeah, I was looking for that up too.
If anybody would know, it'd be Gideon. He has a photographic memory.
It was the first round.
They lost 4-1.
Yeah.
I know they lost 4-1, but I thought it was in the second round. Hold on. 43-39. Yep, they lost in the first round. So my bad. I thought it was
Yeah,
the
and
second round.
Trey Young averaged 15 points. DeAndre Hunter was the leading scorer with 21. So it was crazy. So I agree with you, man. They have been a disappointment this season, the same as the Miami Heat. So this maybe it looks like obviously the as you mentioned the Celtics, the Bucks, the Nets have a greater opportunity than these other teams. So we'll see what happens with the playoffs. Man, LB, thanks for being here with me, man, and all the audience here from NBA La Chilena, man.
Hey man, appreciate you for having me on, man. Hope we do this again in the future sometime.
Yeah, for sure, man. Obviously, we got the All Star game, then we got the playoffs. So we'll definitely link up later. So thanks, man. I really appreciate you being here, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. Salute, bro.
Salute, salute. So that was it for today's podcast, the MOP podcast here with LB. As I said before in the intro, I highly recommend everyone go watch the LB, the sports and politicals channel of LB. So go check that out. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I obviously try to do my shit in English and Spanish, and I will try to also, always try to bring new guests to the podcast. So once again, thank you, and thank you to everyone that watched this stream. So that was it. Until next time, see ya. Peace.